have some catching up to do. Holy moly. When was the last time? The last time was the astral projections, yes. So the next day, I woke up and I had this pressure in my chest, man. It was like someone was squeezing my lungs. And I've been playing around with intentions and I've been learning about intentions. And it put me in a sticky situation because up until that point, I had gotten up, I went to the bathroom, I was getting ready to shower and then head out for a walk. So I had a lot of momentum built up for that. And I set the intention to find more peace. What should I do? How do I get rid of this, you know? The answer to that intention was to go into the bath and start breathing. But again, I already had so much momentum towards going on a walk that to then shift my focus to then go do that action of getting in the bath was a lot. But I'm glad I did because a lot has happened, and it was essentially the catalyst for what has been going on. Because when I started to go into the water and breathe, I realized that I was inhaling at half capacity. So what I started to do is I started to do deep conscious inhales, very deep. And over time, the tension in my lungs went away. And there was this, what I call like an energy ball, an energy knot. It just felt like this giant clump of energy in my chest that slowly started to disperse out over my system. And I'm starting to believe that deep breaths are how you heal the heart center, how you go into a more receptive state and in turn a more loving state. Because when you're more receptive, you're more open. You're also more open to people, you're more empathetic, and you're more open to yourself and more loving towards yourself. Because again, you're more receptive, more empathetic in general, and you're much more present. So with this, I started to go on longer walks because my bike got stolen. So that's really the only thing I can do. And there I live by a river, and by this river there's this really big bridge, and you're right over the river. You know, it's a position I like to think that you could only get there if you could like levitate. So that already gets me excited enough to go over there. And so I was over the bridge and I was doing the breathing. And this is the new level 1 foundation meditation, by the way. I was in the posture, I was doing the deep breaths, and I was getting into it, man. And I kind of went into the state which I want to call like astral projection with my eyes open, because entities started to appear and they put this thing around my neck, almost like a black collar. They looked like human, they had human shapes, but it's like if they were made out of black smoke, but really black, like really, really thick black smoke. And I was scared, but I was anchored to my breath, and I wasn't going to shift my awareness away from anything else. And so what I kind of got a gist of from these entities, whatever they did, is they were putting that there because if I were to freak out, it would feed them. It was kind of like their own little leech that could only take my energy if I entered that fear state, if I shift my focus to them, essentially. Either or. I started to think about the angels because I've read about this gospel of peace, which is, I mentioned in the Senis, the people of the river, and when I communicated with them, it's this book, the first book of the gospel of peace, which is how you spiritually purify. In there, Jesus speaks of the angel of air and how to purify yourself with air. So I got this idea to, okay, let me think about the air. Let me focus on the air. How is the air moving? How is the air touching my skin? How does it go through the hairs of my leg? How does it touch my face? And suddenly I became aware of like these brushes. It felt like these little hands were all over my body and just cleaning me up. It was super interesting. And when I got in this astral projection like state, I want to say the air is almost like how the Essenis presented themselves to me as this collective consciousness. that you can view as like a singular entity made up of multiple entities. Because when I was out there, like hands would come out and they would touch my eyes, and I would hear different voices and feel different presences of like people behind me, but they were all like, don't move, just keep breathing like you are right now. Because physically, what was making this other event happen was these deep breaths I was taking that were just inhales. I was letting gravity do the rest and being in this receptive state internally. So I was allowing them to do their work. I wasn't fighting it at all. I wasn't trying to take the reins. So with me physically doing that, I was opening myself up, I guess spiritually, or in the other realms where I exist, where we all exist, to be receptive of help as well. And that's what they were doing. It was so interesting. It was like getting a astral body massage that emotionally and mentally relaxed me, and also physically. And I really want to say that the angel of air is almost like billions and trillions of other like spirits, of other entities, unless it's just one massive consciousness that can also interact with like multiple different bodies at one time. I mean, that's kind of like what we all are. We're just consciousness interacting with itself in different ways, but I think you know what I mean there. But it was really, really, really interesting, and it was beautiful because again, it's like I'm partially astral projecting while I'm out there and I'm just getting healed. And so I come back home and things go okay. Things are well for a little bit. I'm kind of, I'm a little bit off. Today I wake up, man, and I have that same pressure. And I noticed that in my body, it feels like I can't breathe. I can't take the deep breaths. So I start focusing on my deep breaths again. And this time, what happens is I notice that my body wants to go up. It's like when I inhale, right? But that's not right. That's not correct. How it should be, or what my mind showed me, was expand outwards, with the belly expanding out, not the shoulders going up. Because when the shoulders were going up, all of that, what I was seeing in my head was images of cartoons, images of exaggerated theater where I'd seen people do this. And that wasn't how a deep breath should be. When I was just letting the breath do its thing, my diaphragm literally felt like it was expanding out like that. Yeah, rather than out and up, or mainly up and slightly out. But that was also really cool. So I went on like a 2.5 hour walk, just stabilizing my breath. And that's kind of what I've been doing this week, is been stabilizing my breath. And as annoying as it is, because it's so simple, I still love it, because I know that that's the root of so many things. Panic, anger, depression, fear, worry. Whenever my mind is anywhere but here, my breath is off. And it will always be like that until I stabilize my breath as an anchor, as rhythm, as flow. Just so good. That's kind of what I've been up to with this week 5 stuff. I mean, permanent peace, I've scrapped it except for the blossoming, and I'm reworking it from the ground up. And so I'm setting the intentions and just going with it. And this is where I'm at right now. And it's fun, it's interesting. But dang, dude, dang. It's not what I expected. But isn't that the beauty of life? You know, it takes its own turns. It does what it wants. And you just go with it. You got it. There's nothing else you can do. So that's week 5. Hope you guys enjoyed the little story. And keep breathing. Inhales only. Gotta do the rest. Nice. Peace.